Welcome to Family Business Diaries, the podcast where we unravel the secrets of family businesses. I'm your host, Maria Santia Samoa, and today we have an exceptional guest, a pioneering female family business leader who is the visionary behind Ghana's first yogurt bar, Zenobia Bou-Chedid. Zenobia Bou-Chedid is the CEO of Zenos, a company known for manufacturing and distributing natural yogurt and related products. Under her leadership, Zenos made a significant mark in the Ghanaian market by introducing locally produced Greek yogurt, becoming the first company in Ghana to do so. In 2015, Zenobia established the first yogurt bar in Ghana, Zenos Yogurt Bar, which currently has 3 locations. Zenobia has an MBA with a specialization in strategy from Lancaster University. Zenobia, oh my goodness, it's so good to
Hi.
finally have you here.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for having me on your show.
I'm excited.
I know,
All
me
right,
too.
so okay, so let's start with your
Mhm.
story. Tell us all about Zenobia.
So I did my primary and secondary school in Ghana. And then after secondary school, I did a 1-year AFS exchange program in Switzerland, which I really enjoyed. And after that, I did an 8-month course in France. It was for French cuisine and wines. So I
International
did that.
lady.
I did that for 8 months in the south of France at Gastronomicum. And then I did my university for 4 years in Cyprus, University of Nicosia.
Okay.
Came back to Ghana, started working with Zenos Yogurts in 2012. And then I did a master's. I started a master's at Stellenbosch University in Cape Town for one
Nice.
year, had to defer, and then did my master's with Lancaster University in Ghana. So in between, from 2012, I've been working with Zenos Yogurt Bar. So I did the master's whilst I was working with Zenos Yogurts.
I see.
And then I opened Zenos Yogurt Bar in 20, is it 2015? I can't even remember. If it's 8 years now, then it
You
would
want us
be,
to do
is
math?
it 20? I know. I think it's 2016 because it'll be 8 in October.
I'm not attempting to do the math with
Yeah,
you.
it'll be
Okay,
2016.
that's amazing.
Mm.
I want us to w- I mean, I'm just curious when you talk about France and like why the selection of these particular courses? What was it about, cuisine and what led to all those selections?
So I actually did hospitality management in university. That's what I studied,
Oh, okay.
hospitality management. Before I went into hospitality management, I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. I was deciding between law, which was a dream I'd had since I was a child. I was deciding between law and hospitality management. So that 8 months that I did in France was sort
Mhm.
of a way for me to, I took like a gap year
Okay.
to decide if it was actually hospitality management I wanted to do. And I must give credit to my parents because they were the ones who suggested that I take 1 year, do a gap year, and really decide and think about what I want to study in university. So,
So did the hospitality come from them by any chance? Did they suggest it or it was just
no,
you?
no, the hospitality management was purely me. I liked the hospitality management is now very common,
Hmm.
but
Back then?
some years back it wasn't such a common degree
How do you feel saying
to
that some
study.
years back? Like you feel old?
I'm so old, right? But I liked the fact that it was very broad
Yeah.
and it involved dealing with customers, dealing with people, offering them a service. I just liked
Hmm.
the whole concept of it. And I love traveling. I love seeing other cultures and all of that. So I felt like hospitality management was in line with my personality. If
Which is true.
yes, thank you.
Okay. So you moved back to Ghana and you
Mhm.
said you've been working. Well, so Zenos was like your first
Yeah, so I did my exchange. I not exchange program. Sorry, I did my
national
national
service.
service with the social welfare department in Kaswa.
Oh
I did
wow.
that for 1 year,
I
and
see.
then yes, Zenos yogurt was my first
Official.
of. I don't want to use the word official because whilst I was in university, I throughout my university, I always had 2 to 3 jobs at every point in time. I worked throughout university. I worked at a cafe, I worked in a shop, and then I worked in I don't want to call it a bar, it was like a lounge. So I worked throughout university. So Zenos Yogurt wasn't my first official job, but it was my first job after university.
Okay. And I know you're very popular. You were into modeling. Were you like a
I forgot about that.
Yes, that's key, please. That's how I met. That's how I saw Zenobia.
Oh my gosh,
So
yeah.
basically, you've been very
Yeah.
entrepreneurial. Like you've done all these things. How did you infuse that into, working with the family, like coming into Zenos? How did you manage to do all that?
You know what? Like now that you've mentioned the modeling, I totally forgot that I did have about 2 years where, was it even 2 years? I think I had like 1 year of modeling, and within that 1 year, I had two big contracts with Woodine and
Mm-hmm.
Martini. But then after that, I was like, you know what? I don't want people to just know me as a face. And I was just worried that people would feel there's no substance to me.
And you had
And I
most.
didn't want that cliche thing where it's like, oh, you you, you think you're nice looking, so you're modeling. I don't know. I'm not bashing anyone that models, but I just felt like I wasn't getting any. I wasn't fulfilled enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I decided to um go into business. And then with business, of course, it was easy to get into Zenus Yogurt because it already existed.
Yeah.
My parents set it up in 1993. So it was an
Wow.
existing business. Of course, it took over a decade. There was like an over a decade of a break, but it was an existing business that they had. So it wasn't difficult for me to get into the family business. But once I got in, I then realized that I wanted to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my own thing, but still yogurt related. And I had always wanted to, I had always felt like it was a shame that people didn't know how to incorporate yogurt into their day-to-day lifestyle in Ghana at
Mm-hmm.
that time. So owning a yogurt bar was sort of like, it came naturally because it was like doing the same yogurt related business, but then setting up my own thing. And they gave me the opportunity to speak with customers, interact with customers, and still show people how to use the product. So I think it almost came naturally.
Your story is so unique, right? Because you joined the business, you basically helped with Zenos, but it's almost like you branched out a bit, or maybe you were very innovative with, setting up the bar.
Mhm.
And I really love that. So well
Thank
done.
you.
But
Thanks.
what's the story behind? Can we go back to how Zenos even started? Like, what's the story behind that?
Okay, so in 93, um, according to my parents, I was a very picky eater and I didn't eat anything except yogurt. So my dad had to be making yogurts all the time for me. Like I'm sure every couple of days they had to make yogurt for me. And one of his friends, Mr. Ramona, at that time, Ramona and Kuala were the two
Big.
biggest supermarkets. So Mr. Ramona, who was my dad's friend, asked him that, like, why doesn't he commercialize it since he's always making yogurts for me? And my dad thought he was joking, and I think he ordered some yogurt. They made about 50 liters. Apparently, they did it in paint buckets.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, according to my mom, when they made it and left for work. They came back and the yogurt didn't even look like it had set. But when my dad came home, he didn't check and he just carried the buckets and sent it
And
to
delivered.
Ramona, the store. And they thought, wow, this is going to be a disaster because the my mom said, according to her, the yogurt hadn't even set. Somehow it seems by the time it got to the shops, it had set. And the next day, the man called him that the yogurt had sold out
What?
and that they needed more. And that's basically how the business started in 93. And it was very successful. they supplied all the major shops at that time. And I think after a run for a couple of years, we relocated out of Ghana. So we had to stop the
Mm-hmm.
business. And of course, by the time we came back to Ghana, they never started it. So in the 2000s, the late 2000s, I started sort of pushing and encouraging that why don't we do the yogurt again? Why don't we start it as a business? And so it was re-registered. I don't know if it was re-registered I mean, there was somehow it was revived
Yeah.
basically. And in 2012, that's when I joined. And when I joined in 2012, I introduced I don't know if I should use the word spearheaded the introduction of the Greek yogurt, which is now what we're best known for because we were the first Greek yogurt manufacturers in Ghana.
Trailblazers.
Mm. Yeah.
That's awesome. Like proud
I
moments. I'm
feel
just excited
thank
listening to
I
this
feel like
story.
I feel like I don't know, I feel like this story has been said a few times. I hope there are people who are listening who haven't heard it before.
Oh, I mean,
You
this is
didn't know
news to me,
it.
so this is good.
Yeah.
You're sold. Okay. So, wow. All right. So 2012, when it was revived, you were still working, you were working with your parents, right?
Yes.
How did it feel working? I mean, you had two bosses at home. Like, how
Yeah.
did it feel?
I must say that I don't have difficult parents, especially when it comes to business. They encourage a lot of independent thinking and they they gave me the room to do what I thought would work. And they listened to the ideas I had. Like in terms of the Greek yogurt, for example, remember that because I did university in Cyprus, which is I was on the Greek side, that is where I got introduced to Greek yogurt. So
Okay.
I came in with this new concept of the Greek yogurt, which at that time it wasn't so popular again. All over the world, Greek yogurt at that time wasn't very popular. They could easily have said, no, what is this? But they embraced the
They
concept. So
trusted you.
I know that usually it's a struggle to work with family. I'm not saying that we haven't had back and forths, but I think generally speaking, it's not as difficult for me. It's just that I wanted to move in a different direction. I'm not, I don't enjoy the manufacturing aspects
Okay.
of the business. And so for me,
It
I
was too
I
routine.
wasn't fulfilled by just manufacturing and distributing products.
You wanted the creative elements.
I
This.
wanted the creative element. I wanted the interactions.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the marketing aspect. I wanted something beyond the factory.
So, how did you pitch your idea of, okay, we have this, but I want to start the yogurt bar, and how did they receive it? Like, I'm just wondering how that meeting went.
They loved it.
Oh,
My
yay.
dad thought it was a brilliant idea because I explained that by setting up the Zenos yogurt bar, we are basically that's marketing. That's going to be our biggest form of marketing. No one has ever opened a yogurt bar. I'm sure in 2016, even till date, I don't think there's any other yogurt bar in Africa. Because as of 2012, there was one yogurt bar that had opened in America, Chobani in Soho, and I went
Wow.
there, and it was such big news. And that was in 2012 when I went there. So was it even 2012 or 2014? But my point is, it was a unique idea. It was going to be one of our biggest marketing how do I say, like biggest marketing plans because
Yeah,
if you set up a
strategies.
yogurt bar, you're getting to meet your customers. So it's not like you're guessing who buys my products from the store.
No, you
You
know.
know exactly who buys your products from the store. You get to test out any new products that you want to bring out at the yogurt bar. You get to interact with customers, find out what are you happy with, what are you not happy with. If there's an issue with the taste, and remember that it's a very delicate product.
It is.
There's no preservatives, nothing artificial. So if you don't refrigerate it, it will start tasting sharp. So I loved the fact that we would be able to get direct feedback. We would be able to get direct feedback from customers. And once I pitched this whole idea to them, they loved it. I mean, they saw how it would benefit the company and they were happy for me. So,
Yay
October.
to supportive parents and business owners. Love it, love it, love it.
Yes,
And
yes.
how has it been? I mean, I see you expanding. How has it been?
It's been a journey, mostly positives. Obviously, every business has its negatives and its positives. So it hasn't necessarily been 100% easy, but I would say that the difficulties that we have had, the two main difficulties that we have had, human resource when it comes
Mm,
to training, customer service, we go through about 4 trainings every year, and we still sometimes struggle with customer service, what we've trained our
mm,
staff to do and what they end up doing. Sometimes we struggle with that. And I think the other struggle, like every other business in Ghana, is more to do with external
factors.
external factors like the economy and um high prices and taxes. I think
Yeah.
those are our main struggles.
'Cause I think with you guys, I mean, when I come to the bar, I'm like, but why don't you have this? Where's the mango? Where's the mango? Those seasonal issues, right?
That's
Like,
also a huge problem. Thanks for bringing this up. Like currently, mango is not in season. Watermelon is not in season, and I don't know what's going on, but it's like over the years, we're starting to hardly get even the tropical fruits. So we struggle a lot with tropical fruits that you would think should be readily available. And then with the fruits that are not locally produced, we have to depend on other external parties to bring in these fruits. The exchange rate, sometimes shipment hasn't arrived. As I speak to you now, I'm waiting on strawberries. I'm hoping that we get the strawberries at the yogurt bar, but I'm hoping that the shipment doesn't delay for next week. So we struggle with a lot of these things. Cashew nuts. We don't always get our cashew nuts in Ghana. I'm having to also get some of my cashew nuts from Burkina Faso. So it's a struggle, and I guess it's customers don't always understand.
you can't pass on the
Yes,
increase
and
as
that's
well.
why on our menus we don't write fruits, we don't write toppings because we don't want to get in trouble.
So you
When
leave
you
with the
come, whatever
juice.
is available, but we still get in trouble.
Oh
We
my
still
goodness.
get in
No,
trouble.
some of us complain, please. We need the mango. It's that
Yeah,
special smoothie with the mango.
yeah.
Bumbo, I don't remember the
It's
name.
Bambi.
Bambi.
Yes,
Bambi.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Love it.
Thank you.
So, do you feel pressured? I mean, listening to you, some of these factors you can't control, especially in your business. Like you're talking about the fruits, you're talking about all this. I mean, you know that thing of you can't fail. You took this from your parents, maybe the manufacturing side, but still you built on it. So you're hoping that you also pass it on.
Hmm.
Like, do you feel that pressure that it has to work? I have to make like
Definitely,
how do you deal with
definitely.
that?
There's definitely a lot of pressure because you've started, it's not that you've started, but you've taken on something, and it's not just about you anymore. It's about your family. There's just sort of like this need to make sure it succeeds. So you have to make it. You have to make it. You don't want to be the one that killed the business or made it fail. So, yeah, exactly. So, I definitely feel the pressure, but I also know that I'm a religious person, and I do feel like, yeah, it's not all my strength. It's I can't, the business cannot succeed because of me. The business succeeds because God has decided that the business should succeed. So when I hear about the economy and all of that, and I hear about businesses failing, it's just one of those things that all you can do is pray. All you can do is pray that God is behind you and that He sees your business through. And if He doesn't want to see it through and it fails, then maybe that's the end of my journey. Maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. So even though I worry about it, I also know that if, God forbid, one day it has to close down, or one day the Zenos cannot continue, then maybe it's because there's bigger plans. So
And then just listening to your story, I'm just amazed. Like I feel like, it's been think hospitality. Start with your love for yogurt,
yeah.
and then doing hospitality, and then going to Cyprus and being introduced. Like it's like everything has been built on
Yeah.
for you to get to this point, right? So
Yes,
it's that all things working together for good kind of
it's
situation.
crazy because secondary school like this, I was supposed to do general arts. And then I get there, and a few days into me starting the school, I decided that I wanted to switch to visual arts.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I was told that I had to call my parents and get permission from my parents. And I was like, my parents won't mind. They're like, no, you still need to get permission from your parents. So I called and I said, I don't want to do general arts anymore. I want to do visual arts. And my parents were like, sure, if that's what you want, go ahead. So I switched to visual arts. And after 3 years of secondary school, I started asking myself, you know what? Maybe I should have done general arts. What was the point of the visual arts that I did? But fast forward, I did my logos, the Zenos Yoruba
You
logo.
did it.
I did it myself. I do our flyers. I do like a lot of about 80% of the visual stuff that you see, I design it myself. So I'm
Wow.
like, wow, I now get why I
It's
did
all coming together.
everything is coming
Yeah.
together. Everything is coming together. Like
Amazing.
even the travel experience, the exchange program, everything is coming together because it makes it easy for you to interact with your customers. If you see someone who speaks German, you've
You have
spoken
something
German in the
yeah.
past, France, you've spoken French in the
Why are
past.
you
Yeah, I
saying
keep saying
spoken it in the
past because
past? What's going on
I've
here?
almost forgotten. But it's like it's all been very useful. Like it's all come together.
I love it. So knowing, your journey and
Mm.
how, you've almost gone full circle
Yeah.
with your children.
Mhm.
What do you think? I mean, are you considering, oh, you guys must join our business? Do you think it's important to direct them
Mm.
on their choices and stuff? Are you being a strict mommy, or you're taking it easy like your parents did with you? Tell us.
Am I a strict mom? I think I'm a strict mom, but not in this aspect. I'm a strict mom in terms of I want you to listen when you're being spoken to. I want you to be able to greet adults. I feel like I have a lot of that old school kind of thing, but I'm not strict at all when it comes to choosing what I want them to do. My kids tell me what they want to do, what activities they're interested in, and I try my best to make it happen for them. I don't believe in choosing what your kids should do. So, do I think my kids are going to want to work with Zenos Yogurt Bar? 100% not. I like looking at their personalities now. I don't see them being interested. I feel like they'll have their own interests and they'll probably go into their own things, and it's fine. I don't necessarily, no, not at all. I don't necessarily imagine that it's my kids that will continue with Zenos Yogurt Bar. And I'm fine with that. I feel like it might more so be people who would have worked with me for many years who will sort of take on the role.
So, picking on this, does that mean you're open to, having other shareholders, having other people that are not in the family, manage or be owners?
1,000%.
Oh, that's
I'm
good.
very, very open to it. I actually wish that that is what ends up happening
Okay.
because if you've had people that have worked with you for many years, I have some very loyal staff. We employed Zenus Yogurt Bar alone employs about 30 people. Now, out of the 30 people, I have some very, very loyal staff. And for me, I would be happy for them to benefit from all their years of hard
Hard
work.
work.
Of course, I would still always want my family to have shares in
Yeah.
Zenos Yogurt Bar when it does reach that point where we're giving out shares. But I don't know. I don't have any plans of all of it staying in the family, no.
Okay. So I know Zeno's Yogurt Bar is your baby.
Mm-hmm.
but you're still part. The main family business, as we've established, is Zenos
Zenos,
yogurt.
yes, Zenos.
So is it Zenos or Zenos yogurt?
It's actually Zenos.
Zenos. Okay,
Yes.
I thought so. All right.
But we all say Zenos yogurt, Zenos yogurt.
So are you still? I mean, how do your I mean, how does your mom feel? Right? Are you more focused on the bar, or are you still giving attention to the main family business, which is the manufacturing side?
I would actually say it's a 50-50. And I would say it's a 50-50 because remember that Zenos yogurt bar is Zenos's biggest customer. We
Okay.
buy the most yogurts from the
I mean, you're
factory.
working together basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're their number one customer. We
See.
purchase and we pay on time. We pay faster than any of the other
I have to
retail
ask you.
stores.
I have to ask your mom. I'm
I'm
sorry.
telling you, we pay on time. And even on social media and when we have like events and stuff, we promote the factory products a lot. We promote
Okay.
the Greek yogurts, we promote the plain set. So it's actually a 50-50. And whatever I'm
Okay.
doing, I always take into consideration the factory products and the yogurt bar. So I make sure that it's a 50-50 because at the end of the day, in terms of Zenos, I'm also the one I'm doing their marketing, sales.
I'm doing yes,
See, I'm part of it, right? I'm doing marketing, sales, branding,
Okay.
product innovation. So I'm still having to do that aspect. So I'm very much
So you're wearing
involved.
two hats basically,
I'm wearing two hats.
and you're balancing it well.
Mm,
You're trying.
I'm trying. I'm
All
trying.
right. So in terms of, I mean, with your experience and yeah, with everything you've been through, what do you think are the critical factors that family businesses should be considering? Because I mean, just listening to you, I'm wondering, will every, Ghanaian family be interested if your child came up and said, I want to branch out into this using, would they support as much? So what do you think are some of the critical factors that parents or Ghanaian businesses should consider? No, Ghanaian family businesses should consider, you know, in these settings and in these times.
You need to have a plan.
Mm.
You need to have a plan and you need to mentally prepare and know that your kids may not want to be part of the family business. I think that the earlier you put that in your mind, the better because then you're able to actually plan for you're able to have a succession plan.
Yeah.
And I mean, if your kids do decide to go into the family business, that's perfect. That's amazing. But it's not always the case. And I feel like if you have a family business, yes, you're trying your best to make it live beyond you. Everybody wants their
That,
business
yeah.
to
Legacy.
live beyond them, but living beyond you may not necessarily mean that your
Your children
family is
must.
going. Yes. So the best you can do is sort of give shares so that they'll always still have shares in the business. But once you make peace with that, you're able to run the business more effectively because it's not so much so just about your feelings and your
Yeah, it's not
em-
emotions. Yeah.
emotions. You're approaching it as a business.
I mean, but this thing you talk about succession plan and making sure you've written things. What I've found with discussing or just having conversations with different family businesses is that it's not the first thing they think about. I mean, I interviewed my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, look, I just had a passion for something and I,
Mm-hmm.
I started the business.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking of who's gonna take over. Like those
Mm-hmm.
things don't come to them. They just I just wanna
Yeah.
do my thing. So
Mm-hmm.
then you get to a certain point and you realize, oops, who's gonna take over, right? So
Yeah.
I like that you talk about succession plans. Like it's almost like you should have started thinking about it yesterday
Yeah.
almost and then have a plan in place. But
Yeah.
this is good. This is good. So before we wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
let's think Zenos Yogurt 30 years from now. I mean, what are your goals? What do you wish for Zenos?
30 years from now. Ooh. I mean, I expect that in 30 years, God willing,
30
if
years.
that's God's plan, I expect there to be multiple yogurt bars all over the country. And for me, that's very important because as much as possible, we want to cut out the middleman. We want to be
Mm,
able to deal directly with our customers. So, f- how I look at it, and I think our team all agrees, is that 30 years from now, Zenos yogurts should be all over the country, the yogurt bars dealing with customers directly. And that way, we also give customers assurances that if you buy the product and you're not satisfied with it, return it, money back guarantee, no questions
mm,
asked. We can't do that when we supply retail stores. So even though everybody or a lot of people feel like retail is what makes you successful, if you say, oh, I supply 80 stores, I supply 100 stores, it's like,
mm.
wow, you're big. We're not necessarily aiming in that direction.
You're doing the
Yeah.
heart to heart. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. And I'm just curious. This one is just outside of everything else. But the Ghanaian market, I mean, Ghana man yogurt, like how are you able to get people to accept or start thinking, yogurt is nice, just enjoy this, try this, because
8 years ago, it was very difficult. 8 years ago, people hadn't heard of parfait. People didn't know what parfait was. Um, I mean, at one point, we even tried to introduce yogurt as a savory product with chickpeas and chicken. I tried it twice. It
hey,
didn't work.
the
Ghana
gas.
wasn't ready for that at that time. So 8 years ago was very difficult. And I think that is part of why I introduced the sauces, the honey, because I understood that people needed it to taste a certain type of way to be able to baby steps, exactly. But now it's not difficult because now people know about parfait, people know about yogurt smoothies, people know about yogurt bowls. So I mean, in the past few years, it hasn't been difficult at all. Of course, you do get one or two customers who come, and if they're not, willing to, if they're not willing to try, then we push the bottles because the bottle is a yogurt drink. Yeah. So for our customers who are not so um adventurous with the taste of yogurt and they don't, some people don't like mixes. They
Yeah,
just
I'm
do the
one
bottles.
of them. But my dad converted me. I mean, he's a big fan.
Really?
Yeah, I got to know about
Yay!
he introduced me because he used to send me all the time,
Wow.
go to it. I'm like, what is all this stressing me out to do? And then I tried it once. I'm like, okay, so
Yes.
well done. You're doing something good. And
Thank
clearly
you.
when you look at, just the customers, the demographic, like the ages, it's like
Everyone.
everyone. So
Everyone.
that's
Young, middle-aged, old, people who have health issues. Doctors recommend the product a lot. Pregnant women, 6-month-old babies.
they're taking.
Perfect. It's one of the best things you can wean your child off with.
So
Six,
you
yeah.
you have the whole market. That's good. I'm sure your mom or your parents must be proud
They
of you,
are.
right?
They are.
You're doing something
They
great.
are
So
very proud.
thank you
And
very much.
I'm happy that
You
I've
didn't
made them happy.
you didn't let them
I
down.
didn't let them down.
Right from changing to what visual arts, right?
Yes,
All the way.
all the
Well
way.
done, well done.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we have this thing. You have to advise. I think you've kind of advised the founders talking about succession
Yeah.
plans and stuff. What
Mhm.
about the next gens? Those of us who take over, like give if you could give one advice to next gens, what they could do differently or what anyway, not what they could do differently, but what advice would you give to next gens?
Okay, maybe it will be in two folds.
Okay.
For our generation, I'll speak more so in what we can do to help with the kids we're raising. I
Mm,
think that entrepreneurship and this kind of journey is heavily due to how you've been brought up at home. And the reason why I'll say how you've been brought up at home is because the school system is very structured. Um, you may not necessarily learn how to think fully out of the box if you go to some of the schools that we went to. Um, so it's,
Like
I think,
somebody's getting shade.
no, 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 no. I mean, it's better now. There's a lot of international
Yeah,
schools and the
the
Montessori
expo.
system. But I feel like for our generation, the best thing that we can do for our kids is to make them very independent. Independence is important. Make them independent, make them confident,
Yeah,
let
that's
them
key.
understand that making mistakes is normal and is part of life. Don't get them in trouble for making mistakes, because then if your kids get in trouble every time they make a mistake, they're going to
Then they
associate
just
making mistakes with failure, and they're not going to want to make mistakes. And if you're going to be
they
an
won't
entrepreneur,
explore.
mistakes is part of the journey. So
Yeah.
you must embrace mistakes. And then in terms of what the Gen Zs, am I
Who are
supposed to
the Gen
advise?
Zs?
Am I
Yes.
advising the Gen
No.
Zs as
So
well?
right now I'm feeling very old. I don't like what you're doing. No. So for anybody taking over their parents' business, let's put it that way. Let's respect ourselves, please.
Yes, I don't want any
Yes.
trouble.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So anyone taking over their family business, I don't know how to say this. I was going to say don't put too much pressure on yourself, but you should, because at the end of the day, you really don't want to be the one that collapses the business. So I would say that before you take over your family business, have a meeting, an official meeting, because that's the mistake that we make. Whenever you're in a family business, everything is always so unofficial, and that's what brings the problems. Have an official meeting with the current people that are running the business. Agree on certain things, agree on the direction of the business, agree on what the company's mantra is, what the company's vision, mission. Make sure that you're all in agreement. Maybe you can give them a proposal of what you are proposing, your plan for the next 10, 15 years. And then I feel like once everyone is on the same page, they may probably be more supportive of the steps that you're taking. And when you're in a family business, please be serious about it. I also feel like sometimes people enter family businesses and it's like they're not taking it seriously, but it's a business. Just because it's your family's business doesn't mean it's not a business. Work in that family business as though you're working for someone else, you know. So,
So that mindset is key.
yeah.
But I like the fact they say official meeting because you know that
Official,
that first meeting is usually it's
very
like, hey, you sit
unofficial.
here.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, but it's true.
You
You
must
need
give me a contract. Like everything must be on paper.
now I really want to go back and be in that meeting with your parents when you no, no, this is really good, Zenobia. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I mean, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. I've learned one key thing I've taken from you is there. So it's okay to branch out. It's like, oh, well, we're still working the family business, but you fulfilled a major desire that you had. So
Yeah.
so this is really good. And so you're not stuck in the mind. You identified that, it's boring. It's not what you want to
Yeah.
do, and you've been able to build on it. So thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you.
I think this has been
Thank you.
exciting, and yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. To our audience, many thanks for joining us on another episode. You can find the show on all podcast streaming platforms as well as the Family Business Diaries YouTube channel. If you're a family business owner, manager, or worker and would like to come share your unique story with us, kindly send us an email info@familybusinessdiaries.com. See you next time.